Hey there, so we are back with the basic timing book. So starting the basic timing, looking at page 4, and we're working through the first 4 lines, and we'll take them just one line at a time first, just to figure out what's happening in each line. You'll see a lot of familiar symbols at the beginning. You've got your treble clef, your bass clef, right? So right hand, left hand, 4/4 time we've seen in the other book. And then the notes that are laid out here, it's just like the other book, it's C position. You've got your middle C, rising notes to the G, descending, right? There's C, there's G. And just remember what your C looks like. As much as you can remember that middle C, right? That'll help a lot. And then the other note to kind of focus on is your G, right? That's that treble clef G. It's the second line from the bottom. If you see that, you know that you're playing your pinky, right? That's the limits of what you need to play. That's your low note, your high note. The other part is just counting, right? This is basic timing, so it's all about counting. You're working through your quarter notes here, half notes, so they're 2 counts each, 2 counts, and then 4 counts here. So let's just try that first line, just the right hand first. All right, so counting 4 beats. 1, 2, ready, go. So not difficult. And the idea is, as you're practicing, I'm going to stick this up here so you can see both hands. So we are in that regular C position here, left hand is here. So when you're playing them together, the left hand also starts on C, right? Exactly the same notes, but they're just working together like this: C, D, right? Rising and then falling. 1, 2, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So it's kind of like windshield wipers. You're moving together to the right and to the left, right? So just make sure that you're seeing that as you're practicing. No matter what jumps you do, they should be exactly the same letter, same note at the same time, right? So opposite fingers though, because your hands are mirrors. So they're working in parallel instead of mirroring each other. All right, so that's line 1. Let me steal this again. So looking at line 2, similar stuff. We're just going to read the right hand and then the left hand can follow. The whole book will progress with both hands at the same time, doing exactly the same thing. The notes are always the same. The counting's always the same. So sometimes as you're working through the timing, you could just focus on reading left hand and letting the right hand follow. That works just fine too. Okay, so still thinking right hand. This is quarter notes rising, right? That's easy. Now they've added the dotted half note, which means that's 3 counts, right? If you remember from the lecture from the piano method book, 3 counts, that's 1 count. Another dotted half note, 3 counts, 1 count, and then there's that 4 counts. The other thing, as you're rising, right, falling, sometimes you're going to have what are called skips. You've got an E here, and that's a C, right? You notice that's a line note. There's no space note in between. That's another line note. So you know you have to skip a finger too, right? So definitely good to start focusing on different notes. Like we said, the C helps a lot. You know your G, so now you can start thinking about that E as well, right? So just kind of focusing on the line notes. The other ones are a little easier to find once you know those. All right, so let's do right hand, line 2, starting on the C. So 1, 2, ready, go. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so not too bad, hopefully. And again, anytime you want to pause, repeat, great. Just kind of work through. All these lines are all different from each other. All right, so line 3. Similarly, we're on C and just rising, but you notice there's a half note kind of midstream. So you just got to hold that note longer and then continue, and then hold that note longer. So it feels funny. So it ends up sounding like this. You got C, D, hold, E, F, G, hold. Right, so just watch for places that hold. And then as we go further in line 3, you've got dotted half note, 3 counts. And then some jumping around, like we said. If you can remember which letters these are, which fingers these are, that's your pinky, right? Your G. That's your thumb, your C, right? And just like we said with the other book, it's tempting to start writing in all the letters because it's easier if you can write them down first. or the finger numbers. But in the long run, it's much better if you can just spot it, know which finger is playing, and just play it without any other crutches, right? Anything that you write in there, then you have to end up keep writing as you keep going on as the pieces get harder. So it's much, much better if you can just read straight from the notes and translate that to your fingers. All right, so yeah, try to avoid writing stuff. Let's try line 3, right? Just watch for the little jumpy things at the end. Okay, so rising first. 1, 2, ready, go. 1, 2, hold. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. Last one, this one, line 4, last one for today. Similarly, you got a half note, quarter note, and then you have these curvy lines. And these are called ties. So it's like this, just a T-I-E, tie. And what that does is that indicates you're combining these two note values into one sound. So quarter note combined together, it's almost like writing a half note here instead. Right. The problem, if you tried to write a half note here, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 beats. That doesn't fit into a 4-beat measure. So that's why one of the beats here is here, and then the other beat is over here. But you still want it to be one sound before you continue on. So just to play that part so you can hear it. So starting on the C, it would sound like this. You got C for 2 counts. 1, 2, 3, 4, tie. But you don't play the second part of the tie. You play this one and hold this one and then keep going. All right, so the same thing happens here. You're going to play this note, hold that note, and then keep going to this note, and then you end. All right, so hopefully that works out. Let's try line 4. 1, 2, ready, go. 1, 2, 3, 4, tie. So hopefully all those lines are making sense to you. So practice doing them with both hands, right? So let's go through all 4 of them in a row, both hands. And again, anytime if you want to back up and repeat any of it one hand at a time, great. But this way you've got all of them. And it's nice to practice them in series because then you have the continuity of all of these lines. Yeah, it's good concentration. All right, so from the top, both hands, you're starting on these C's. Right, so 2 black keys on the left, right? You get really used to that C position. There's 2 keys in here that you're not playing. Oh, I should also mention, as you're getting used to C position, these white keys, they all feel the same. So it's easy to just get slightly lost if your hand shifts or if you momentarily lose concentration. If you slide into the keys a little bit, then there's no mistaking where you are because you can feel these 2 white keys next to each other. You can feel the black keys kind of holding you in, right? So you can slide in here. You don't have to play out here. Okay, and it's a little more comfortable. Okay, 1, 2, ready from the top. 1. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Or line 2. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 4, line 3. 1. Hold. 1, 2, 3. 3. On line 4. 1, 2. Tie. 1, 2, 3. Tie. All right, hopefully that all makes sense. You can always repeat that. Definitely good to work on each line individually, one hand at a time. Do just right hand and then just do just left hand and then work on them together. All right, thanks. Hope it all makes sense.